So, gentlemen, welcome. Great to see you all. Great to see you all here. Razer. So we first met about 3 years ago down at 12 by 3 in Paddington, and I remember coming away from it thinking I was pretty confident I would be hearing more about you. You were just one of those kind of characters. Your backstory's extraordinary. I encourage everybody to check it out. All members of the press, you need to ask him about it, because it's the adversity, the tragedy. It's harrowing stuff, and it didn't get particularly any easier when you moved from Iran to England. But here you are. And the first question for you really is: could you ever have imagined when you arrived in England? Could you ever have imagined when you were a young boy in Tehran that you would be in this room, in a room like this, at an event like this?
Yes, I always literally pictured this today that I'm gonna get here. It was all a dream. I did it really the hard way. I used to sleep on the street 4 years ago. I started boxing 4 years ago. Never boxed in my life. But I remember the first day I got in this country in Glasgow airport, and I came as an asylum seeker. When I got out of the airport, I said to myself, now I'm here and I'm free. No life in danger or anything like that. And I know myself, I know I work hard, I know what I'm capable of. I'm here to have it all. That's what I'm here. I don't want a bit, I want it all. Everyday hard work. I remember when we met in Paddington 3 years ago, I told you, I started boxing, I only 2-3 amateur fight, but can you help me introduce me to some people? I want to go find a coach, find the gym, I want to turn pro. He gave me some advice, but I knew I'll be here today. I knew it, I picture it every day. Even when I go to my bed, I picture myself one day be a great champion. I sleep with it, I live with it, I breathe it every day. Never missed a day of training. And fortunately or unfortunately, I don't have a lot of amateur background. Only 10 amateur fight, 3 professional fight. But I'm developing every day, I'm learning, so I see a very bright future.
Well, you'll be boxing at super bantamweight. You were telling me you're 3-0, and it's such an interesting story, isn't it? When you hear it from Razer, and one thing that shines out from him is just the hunger.
Well, just before we get to Razer's story, I've got to give you the story of how we came upon Razer. This one I tell at dinner parties at the moment. So I've got a call, and I'm not going to say his name because he's a private gentleman, but let's put it this way: he's one of the richest men in the world, and he's a football club owner, and etc. etc. I've got a message, and I was in Ibiza at the time, and someone's messaged me, and it wasn't night time in Ibiza, it was daytime. And I got this message: this guy wants a word with you about this boxer. So now we get approaches all the time from different parts of the world, but this one was I was like, whoa, that's interested to Google, do my research on it. He was doing the background check on Razer at the same time. I must admit, I hadn't heard of Razer at the time. I certainly heard of the guy who was approaching me, so I've got my assistant to set up a Zoom with the gentleman. And I said, look, if the guy's on the Zoom, I'll take the Zoom. So immediately come back, yes, he'll be on the Zoom. Anyways, I'm in Manchester in the bubble for Junior's fight in May. Got the set up, it was 11 AM, and I said, okay, I said, just send a reminder, just make sure that this guy is actually on this call. I'm there 2 minutes to 11, and the first person on the call is this multi-billionaire. So I'm thinking, there's Razer next to him, and I'm thinking, right, okay, the combination here is quite interesting. That's quite an introduction, and in due course we will say who it is and whatever, but it was the way it came about was phenomenal, and it was only then that I sat down with Razer. I said, look, I'd like to meet with a person and actually hear these, because I mean, as journalists, you need to hear these stories. What you said is in a nutshell a story that could fill a book now already, or several books. It's fascinating, it's heart heartbreaking, but also an amazing story to tell. I mean, it really, unfortunately, it's not a long press day, or else we'll spend a couple of days on it, but it's a fascinating story. And you know, I've seen now already the attraction he is. He's sold an absolute huge amount of tickets for October the 2nd. So the proof is in the pudding, Razer. Looking forward to see you on October 2nd.
No pressure.
No pressure, no pressure.
All of these fighters will be boxing on October the 2nd, so we can look forward to seeing them on that bill at the SSE Arena then. So Linus, sat next to Razer, Linus Udofia, now former English middleweight champion, undefeated, 16-0. You vacated that title to move on to bigger and better things, and I believe that you're either just have been or about to be mandated for the British. It's been a while, obviously, since you boxed. You've been out of the ring for a good spell, and this is the perfect way, this move for you to get your career back going again.
Yeah, 100%. It's a fantastic platform. Wasserman, Sky Sports going together. It's a really good platform to springboard me onto, the domestic scene properly. I'm known, but not how I feel I should be. I think I should be a name that gets brought up with cash, the likes of Eubank, all the Dignams, everyone else. I feel like my name doesn't get brought up like it should, and this is the platform to make that statement.
Mr. Is Linus a good example of somebody who has already achieved a good amount and got to a really good level in his career without too much promotional backing, and you looked at him and you thought, imagine what he might be able to do with some real firepower, the likes of which you can provide?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've had 15 fights now. You're known in the boxing industry. I think Steve Goodwin's done a great job by you, but I think this fight will be your coming out party. You're going to have a lot of people ringside. It's going to be a very entertaining fight, and people like Felix Cash. He's British champ at the moment. We have to see if he vacates, but if he doesn't, that'd make a great fight. It's been ordered. Yeah, but it was sorry to do with him. But you just made me lose my place. Linus Udofia, everyone. Big things coming.
Okay, so Harvey Horn next to Linus, and in a way you're kind of in a similar place because you're 8-0 as a flyweight now. You're WBO European champion. You're looking to kick on to that next level. You've not boxed for a long time either, as is the case with so many fighters. You did a lot as an amateur on that GB setup, boxing World Series boxing, numerous titles, silver medal at the European Championships. From speaking to you earlier, I know you feel that now is the time when all of that really comes to fruition.
Yeah, I think you left that under 22 European champion as well. Don't worry. No, so obviously, I haven't boxed in a while. I mean, like a lot of fighters, but I mean, it's exciting times. You've got Wasserman, a global brand, global, they're established in the sporting industry, paired up with two of the biggest promoters in Europe, the Sauerlands. So all that means now, with them two paired together, the marketing, the reputation, the experience, all that can mean for my career now is to the top. And I wouldn't be happy unless I was going to the top. That's my aim, that's what I'm focused on, and I think Wasserman, Sauerland, Wasserman Boxing, that's where we're going to go.
How pleased were you to get Harvey's signature, because he's got serious pedigree and credentials already?
Harvey is also together with Martin, and it was an existing Wasserman client, and we're delighted now to have him on October 2nd and promote him. Also a very popular fighter, and has that measuring stick in front of him of the domestic scene. And there's some tough fights out there, but we believe in him. That's the reason we're moving forward and full steam ahead. And he's someone who if you look at his style as well, very exciting. Exciting weight, great domestic opponents. Once again, in the UK, you have that advantage of measuring sticks before you go and push on abroad. And you know, and also a lot of the guys and girls in the scene today, there will be boxing in the UK, but of course, when we need to, we will use our other events outside of the UK. As you saw at the weekend, we were promoting in Austria, we're going to Latvia next month, Germany, Norway still on the schedule this year. So especially for the developing fighters, yes, it's important to go out and box. You know, at Wembley on October the 2nd, very nice. Big show coming up in December in the UK. But when you're building a fighter, and we've mostly in our careers always dealt with fighters coming straight from the amateurs and building them, you sometimes need fights in between. And those are sometimes out of contract fights. I mean, fights you have to provide the fighter, but you have to find space for them to box. The trainers in the room here, this is all nodding hopefully. You need to test things in fights before you maybe do that in front of your own crowd. So we'll be using that as well as a little bit of a secret ingredient, and that will be something that you'll see as well.
Okay, so I'll probably be commentating on your fight on the 2nd, so that will not go. That mistake will never happen again. European Under-22 champion. I'll make sure that goes in. So on to the big man on the end there, Matty Harris. And yours is a really interesting story as well, because your name kind of started to circulate around gyms and reach people's ears not that long ago, really. And there were kind of stories about this guy who hadn't really had any amateur fights, but yet he was doing some really top level sparring, and no one really knew particularly where you kind of come from. There's one tremendous story about you, which is like something out of the 19th century bare knuckle days, where you and some others put some money in a pot and met in a field in Birmingham. It was like Peaky Blinders, and then all just went at it, and the winner took a lot home, and that's I believe that's what happened. So explain yourself. Where have you come from boxing wise?
Started boxing competitively 3 years ago, something like that, 4 years ago, I think. But on that occasion, yeah, it was obviously during lockdown. I like money, wanted to earn a bit. A couple of my friends had a bit of money, wanted to fight, and it was just a group of people, like. So yeah, got there, matched on the day, sparked the kid out, took the money home. Pretty much what I was doing.
This wasn't involving Wasserman Boxing.
We edit that a little bit.
It wasn't
one of our first events.
It wasn't officially sanctioned in any way.
I'm not saying I wasn't there, but it wasn't involving.
He got sparked out.
So Nissa, these kinds of signings are in some ways the most interesting ones, because this is pure word of mouth stuff, isn't it? When you start to hear about a fighter like this. So how did this happen from your end?
I mean, I think Matty is one of the worst kept secrets in boxing. You know, everyone's been talking about him for a long time. You know, we met with Max McCracken, and deal. I had to have him, and yeah, I'm very, very pumped for his debut. And I think he's got the right attitude. He likes to fight, which always helps in boxing. But at the same time, he looks the part and he can box. And I think he's the heavyweights are booming at the moment everywhere. We've built heavyweights over the years. We've got great experience in building heavyweights, and we're going to continue to do so with Matty, Hosea, and the man who will be coming up here soon as well. So yeah, no, just delighted to have him on board.
Kalle, just a quick one before these four leave us about that October the 2nd. But it's great to get all of them. It's great to get all of them out boxing, back in action, because they've all been out for a while. And of course, for Matty, it's a professional debut. So big night to look forward to.
Yeah, it's a great night. It's great to be working back with Sky Sports, and it's going to be a fantastic co-promotion with Boxer that evening. They've got some good fights on as well, and it's a great all-round card. I think. Just going back to Matty for a second there, we've signed a lot of heavyweights over the years. Some work, some don't work, but he has something special about him. My brother wouldn't stop talking about him for a long period of time, which with Nissa, he falls. He basically every day there's new boxes on the table, new boxes on the table. So I always give it a few days and see if that box is still on the table like 3 days later. And with both Jose and Matty, it was certainly the case, and also the gentleman who will be joining us in a minute. But we go back. I mean, my first professional heavyweight champion was Alexander Povetkin. I signed him when I was 26, 27 years old, straight from the Olympics, and we built him into a world champion. But then, obviously, that night with Klitschko didn't quite go our way. Still blaming it on the referee to this day. But you know, whether it's the Klitschko's, Hay, Valuev, Povetkin, we've worked with a lot of heavyweight champions, obviously, in the last couple of decades, and you know, we're far off that Matty's sitting here and tomorrow will be heavyweight champion, but he's on a road with people, and so's Jose, with people who have been there and done it, and that's something that we are excited for. You know, it's something when you begin that journey, it's not that we look at it and think, oh, we know what we're doing, we know which way we're going to push them, how we're going to match them. We've got Tom Dallas, I think one of the best matchmakers in the world, and a great team around that supporting it, and there we are very, very confident on all the people we've signed. It's not that we've just said sign everyone who's available. We've turned some down and we've looked at the ones that we want to focus on. We don't ever want to be a huge stable in the UK because we have other countries we work on as well. The UK will always remain a boutique. I say boutique, we're already at 15 fighters in 3 months, or 6 months, but it doesn't, don't think that this is going to continue over time. We will focus on a boutique bunch of fighters, and that's what we've always done in every market we've gone to, and we believe in quality over quantity, and that's what we're presenting here today.